Welcome everybody, solving one variable inequalities part 2. Okay, let's go over some of the things we're going to cover during this section. We'll be solving equations, inequalities, and then constructing linear functions. You learn how to write and solve one variable linear inequalities given a real world application. Okay, so I give you the steps on the right side here. So steps for those. So truck rental. So Sharon needs to rent a U-Haul truck. It costs $30 to rent the truck plus $0.50 or 50 cents per mile. How many miles can she drive on her budget of $200? So first we want to set up an equation, right? So create an equation for your situation and define your variables. So create an equation first, right? So it costs $30. You want to find how much it costs to rent a truck, right? So we know it's going to be like total cost. So we're going to set up our equation first. So it costs $30 to rent the truck, right? So $30 for the truck plus 50 cents per mile. So that'll be like $0.50 per mile. So we set that up. So then we can create that into an equation, right? So we need to break down. Instead of writing the words all the time, we can just write letters. So total cost, we can make that any letter or number that we want to. We can make this C. So your total cost is 30 plus 0.50 per mile. So per mile, miles, we can make M, any letter that you want to. So this will be your equation right here. So total cost, which is C, right? So we need to write that. So C is total cost, and this is defining our variables. M is our miles, right? So our C is total cost equals $30 plus 50 cents per mile. So that's our equation. Step 2, set up the inequality, right? If it's less than or equal to, use these symbols. If it's greater than or equal to, use these symbols right there. Okay, so our cost, we're going to write it this way. A little bit easier. So we put the numbers in the front. 30 plus 0.50 M. And we want that total cost to be within her budget of $200. So is that less than or greater than? So we want to spend within 200. So it has to be less than, right? So our total cost is going to be less than or equal to 200 because we have to stay within the budget up to $200. So this is our new inequality right here that we're going to solve. All right, and the next step is solve the inequality and answer the question. So we're going to solve this inequality first. We'll get rid of the single numbers, subtract 30 to both sides. Bring down what we have, 0.50 M is less than or equal to 200 minus 30, 170. And then we divide by the coefficient of M to get rid of that times 0.5. Cancel that. So our miles is less than or equal to, so 170 divided by 0.5. Right, you can use a calculator, or 0.5. How many halves in 170, right? Twice as much. So it should be 340. So the miles you can drive is less than or equal to 340 miles. Okay, and we're going to write the inequality to solve, which we just did. 30 plus 0.50 M is less than or equal to 200. So that's the inequality we wanted to solve. And the solution is M is less than or equal to 340. And what that means in words, because you always have a word problem, you have to have your answer in words, right? So this person can drive less than or equal to 340 miles. So make sure you write it out in words and also your inequality symbol. Okay, so we're looking at our steps again. So we just write the equation, write it out, define our variables. We did that on the side. Set up our inequality, right? We want to say less than or equal to 200. So we put less than or equal to 200. We solve it and we get less than or equal to 340. And then we write out inequalities to solve, solution, and in words. So those three things. Okay, so the next example. So write and solve an inequality for each problem. So your sister's store is giving a loan of $2,000. So a loan of $2,000 to start off and makes $40 profit every week. Write an inequality to find the minimum number of weeks it will take your sister to have a profit of $1,000. Okay, so let's look at. So how much profit? So when you're given a loan, are you positive 2,000 or are you negative 2,000? Which is that? If you took a loan out, are you in debt or do you have money, right? So basically, if you take a loan, it's going to be you're in debt. So you have negative $2,000 basically. So negative $2,000 because you took a loan, and your profit is going to be $40 per week. So you're going to add $40 per week right there. And we want to write an equation for profit. So profit equals there, and then we can break it down with our letters. So we can make P is equal to, so negative 2,000 plus 40 per week. Per week we can make a letter, let's say W for weeks, right? So this is our equation right there, and we define our letters, right? So P is equal to profit, and then W is weeks. So always label what your variables are. Okay, then the next step, we want to write the inequality. So it's going to write negative 2,000 plus 400 or 40W, and we want to make a profit of $1,000. So at least $1,000. So at least is greater than or equal to $1,000, right? So your profit has to be at least 1,000. So equal to 1,000 or greater. So this will be our inequality that we're going to solve. So we write that negative 2,000 plus 40W is greater to or equal to 1,000. Then we solve it. So get rid of this single number. So do the opposite, right? So add 2,000 first on the variable side. Then we're left with 40W is greater or equal to 1,000 plus 2,000, 3,000. Divide by the coefficient of W to get W by itself. So we W is less than or W is greater or equal to 3,000 divided by 40. You can use a calculator. 3,000 divided by 40 is 75. And that's our solution right there. So W is greater or equal to 75. And what that means in words is, so in order to make a profit of greater or equal to $1,000, so it will take greater or equal to 75 weeks to make a profit of $1,000. Okay, number 2. Okay, you spent $22 to buy supplies for making necklaces, and you plan on selling them for $3 each. Write an inequality to find the minimum number of necklaces you have to sell in order to make a profit. Okay. So this is when we're talking about profit, right? So we're going to write out an equation. Profit is equal to, so we bought $22 in supplies. So we're down $22 because we spent it, right? So negative $22, and we're going to sell it. So we're going to add our money, right? We're going to sell $3 each. And these are necklaces. Right, so each necklace we're going to sell for $3 each. And then we can rewrite that, make it a little bit simpler, right? So our profit, we can make P again, equal to negative 22 plus $3 per necklace. So we can do like 3N. And this is our equation. Right, so our P is our profit again. Our N is our necklace. Right, necklaces. And we want to find how much do we have to sell in order to make a profit. So what is a profit, right? So we write this. So we want it to be, what's a profit? You know, how do you consider a profit? So profit is anything above zero, right? You're making money and you have more than zero, you made a profit. Right? You spent $22, you sell so many necklaces. If you end up with more than zero, you make a profit, right? So it has to be greater than zero. So in order to make a profit, if it was equal to zero, you'd be breaking even, right? So how much do you have to sell in order to make a profit? It has to be greater than zero. So this is the equation that we need to solve, or the inequality. So negative 22 plus 3n is greater than zero. And we're going to solve that. Add 22 to both sides. So we have 3n is greater than 22 divided by 3. And then we end up with n is greater than 22 divided by 3. And you end up with some kind of decimal, that's fine. Right, 7.3 repeating. 7.33333 repeating. Okay, so that's our solution. N is greater than 7.3 repeating. So what does that mean in words, right? So your solution has to be greater than 7.3. So can you sell 7.3 necklaces? No. Has to be greater than 7, so you have to do 8. So it's actually n is greater or equal to 8 necklaces. Because you have to sell 8 or more, because you cannot sell 7.3, right? So must sell 8 necklaces to make a profit. And that's all there is to it, right? Set up your equation, set up the inequality, right? Equation, inequality, solve it, write out the answer. That's all it is.